Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another modern video. Today we are going to be playing with Lucas B's monogreen devotion deck list. Lucas basically said, yeah, when I want to just have some fun with modern and shut off my brain, this is what I play. The deck is essentially built around a 1-mana instant, Aspect of Hydra. Target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is your devotion to green. And if you take a look at the creatures in this deck list, well, there's a lot of green pips here. So our overall goal is to play a very aggressive aggro game. We have Experiment 1 and Pelt Collector that can just grow. I should probably hold that one up there for a second longer. And Pelt Collector that can just grow as you are playing more creatures. And some of these things are going to pick up something like Trample or some other form of evasion as well. And Hexdrinker is a great thing to sink your mana into, and it gets real hard to remove later on. And some of these creatures, like Steelleaf Champion, have a weird sort of unblockability or a strange degree of resiliency. So ultimately, we're looking to just beat our opponent to death with green creatures. What is interaction, and why would I need it? If we take a look, there's a whopping 31 creatures in this deck. The only things that we have outside of creatures and lands are 4 Aspect of Hydra and 4 Vines of the Vastwood, Vines of Vastwood, which can serve as either a protection spell or a removal spell. Another neat card that's here is Lair of the Hydra. Control 2 or more other lands at ETB's tapped. And for a green and X, you can turn this thing into a Hydra that scales based on the value of X. So in the late game, when you have a whole bunch of mana, this can be pretty silly as far as a finisher goes. As far as the sideboard goes here, we do have a handful of white cards. We do have a couple of Path Exiles and Gaddock Teagues to answer specific problems. Because, you know, like, we might run into something real big and dumb that we need to just get out of the way with Path to Exile. And otherwise, we just have hate for things like the graveyard, or artifacts, or islands. The stuff that's here is very targeted. Again, playing a fun deck like this, we're not necessarily expecting to beat everything, but we are expecting to take some sweet screenshots as we make large, dumb creatures relatively quickly. If you're new here, consider subscribing for legacy, modern, and vintage content on the regular. And if you are a regular already, please throw me a like or a comment or something before we get started. It's one of the easiest ways to support my content for free. And if you have any thoughts about other things that could slot into this deck list, throw me a comment and let me know. I've played with a couple of various like monogreen devotion strategies over the years. And a lot of times I went bigger to some of the things that have like a ridiculous 6 green pips, but we didn't go that big here. Let me know if you have any thoughts for things that should slot into the deck. All right, let's battle. Okay, I've kept my opening hand for round 1 here. We have a handful of options, and we're playing against a Luris deck. All right, what am I sacrificing to the Ragavan? Probably just Pelt Collector here. X-Drinker has more value over time. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and do that. Removal spell here is kind of bad for me. I can pump on the brakes pretty easily with things like Strangleroot Geist as blockers. Oh, nice. We're just going to get to trade here. I'm super happy with that. I was not expecting that trade to be offered. Ragavan is way better than a Pelt Collector. Okay. Yeah, that's all fine. All right. One Hexdrinker or something else. This is a 3/3. Strangleroot Geist have... No. I think I'm always playing this land. I'm not sure which one of these I'm supposed to play out. I'm going to let some of my... I don't really think my opponent has removal. I'm going to go ahead and play this one out. I'll save the Hexdrinker for a bit later. Okay. I think that's just going to be a tapped dual land. Okay, so my opponent is Grixis. If I save Hexdrinker until I have 4 mana, I can just play it and just fully level it up immediately. Ooh, okay. So, opponent is doing legacy stuff in Modern, just with different lands. That's legit. Oh, okay. So there's just a billion colors in this deck list, huh? So I haven't seen green yet, but I've seen everything else. Okay, opponent found a lightning bolt there. Gonna kill my little buddy. Alright, it's gonna cost my opponent some more life, though. That's fine. Alright, nothing's surveilled the graveyard. Goodbye. I get lightning bolted. That's all fine. I don't need white mana currently, and in fact, I don't need white mana ever in game 1. I'll just grab a forest and play out a troll. So one way or another, these games are going to just absolutely zoom by. Ooh. More expressive iteration. That's a Thoughtseize. That's a shame. That's going to get my Hex Drinker. And that sent an Inquisition graveyard. Tried to play the Hex Drinker around potential removal, and then ended up getting hit by discard instead. That's okay. I guess I have, like, literal no answers to Lurrus other than kill it in combat, though, so that is a little awkward. I'll go to 13. Oh, wow, they took my Vines of the Vastwood. Do they just have Lightning Bolt? Surely that just means they have Lightning Bolt, right? They must. Alright, so I'm going to play a Pelt Collector. So, never another creature you control ETBs or dies if its power is greater than Pelt Collector's. Put a counter on. It doesn't really matter which order I do this in, then. I'll do the whole Strangleroot Geist thing. I'm just going to play this pre-combat because I don't really think it matters. I'll hit my opponent for half of their life total. Ooh, that is a Lightning Bolt on the Strangleroot Geist, which will untap it and make it larger, and that will grow the Pelt Collector. Nice. So my opponent's pretty likely dead next turn. I haven't mathed it out. They can't, like, get and play Lurrus. Hex Drinker will be large. Okay. Expressive iteration number 3. Opponent's going pretty deep here in terms of, like, looks at removal. But the things that are going to kill the biggest threats now are not necessarily going to answer the Hex Drinker, which is also just a huge problem. Okay, that is a prismatic ending. That's quite good. I presume that protection from instants. It is. Okay, that's the concession. My opponent cast 3 expressive iterations, and my monogreen deck still won. Hell yeah. I think Path and Endurance are things that I can look at boarding in versus my opponent's deck. I know my opponent has Ragavan, I know they have Dragon Rage Channeler. Let's see if I can reasonably board 6 cards. I don't think I want to board out any of my larger bodies. And I'm unsure how I feel about Vines of the Vastwood. Like, the protection is nice because my opponent's playing a bunch of removal. But I feel like I'm just going to be tapping out for dudes. So I'm just going to cut this despite the fact that it's probably reasonable. And since my opponent has so much removal, I think I'm just going to junk some Noble Hierarchs and probably call it good. Although junking Noble Hierarch is junking white sources, but I'm pretty likely to find a fetch land at some point. This game, though, I probably do need to be just a little more cognizant about actually finding a white source. This hand is absolutely a keep. Got Razorverge Thicket into Noble Hierarch on turn 1. Or potentially into Hex Drinker if my opponent takes Noble Hierarch with a Thoughtseize. Kinda see where my opponent's head is at. This is also a hand where, like, as long as I draw that 3rd land and I can just play these Endurances and these Trolls, I will bring some hurt on my opponent. Just for sure. Okay, yeah, that is the Noble Hierarch dead. Go Thicket into Hex Drinker. If opponent answers it, that's fine. If not, I'll dump some mana into it next turn. Right now I just have, like, tapped Temple Garden, though, as my play, which isn't super impressive. Sure. Not dashing Ragavan. Okay, they're paying costs on something else. Order? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Probably like a Strangleroot Geist would be pretty sick. I was at 13 and I haven't hit them yet, just by the way. Okay, am I attacking with Hex Drinker? I don't think I am. I do not want my opponent to get in with this Ragavan. I'm gonna play Experiment 1 and level this up one time and call that good. I don't think I need to be the beatdown so hard that I just, like, open myself up to, like, Lightning Bolt plus Ragavan and then my opponent gets a bunch of bodies. Yeah, I'll happily trade the Experiment 1 for Ragavan here. That's fine. And now what are you gonna do? If you just tap out, oh, that is so dangerous. Because if you miss on removal, I get a very large, very scary Ragavan, or not Ragavan, Hex Drinker, that you'll probably only have Prismatic Ending as an out to. Now it seems like they have it in hand, though. Alright, a Death's Shadow. So, I have the Kaya's Edict thing to worry about, and I have Prismatic Ending to worry about. So, like, am I leveling up this Hex Drinker? I can just junk my opponent's graveyard this turn, play Endurance, and then try to attack for 7 next turn. Or I can just make Hex Drinker more of a pain in the ass to deal with. The issue is my own life total here. I think I am just going to main phase this. That plays around an Edict effect a little better. Because then, like, I can't, like, get Hex Drinker Edicted away by an Endurance with it on the stack. Okay. There goes my other Endurance. Can you answer my Hex Drinker? Oh, it's another Death Shadow. Sure, that's spooky. Would be a great time to draw like a Path to Exile. No. So this Hex Drinker is basically going to kill my opponent on its own, as long as I don't die on the way. I'm going to try to get this into play. Or, sorry, I'm going to try to get this leveled up. Okay. Go ahead and fetch. Grab a forest. I think it's correct to just play this, because it makes combat really awkward for my opponent. And then I'm just going to pass the turn. If I do some weird all-out swings there, I can just die on the back swing. So my opponent probably can't swing with both Death Shadows easily this turn, because I just like Jump Block with Strangleroot Geist. My stuff gets bigger, and I'm threatening, what, 6, 9, 12 damage on the backswing, so that'll kill even through a piece of removal. Okay, my opponent is making their move. I'm just going to block with 1 Strangleroot Geist, make my stuff bigger. We'll see if I randomly die to something crazy. Okay, tapped land. Alright, so I can't level up Hex Drinker to a lethal range this turn. My opponent removes one of my 3 power things. My opponent takes 7 and goes to 1. At which point, these Death Shadows are very scary. I could make a more conservative attack. If I hit my opponent to 3, 1 Death Shadow is not lethal. This only gets its trigger if it attacks. Really wanted to draw a land, because then this math gets a lot easier. Am I winning playing conservatively? There's a lot of worlds where I have to chop block 2 things next turn. I don't think so. I'm gonna send them. I just think if I hold back and my opponent actually has real resources, I probably die. They would have done that in response to this being on the stack. That also gives them... Oh, that gives them 4 life. I don't know if they actually wanted to do that. That's still lethal. No. Because they gained 4 life, I am in a situation where I can potentially chump block and kill them. Now, if they can, like, shock or fetch or whatever, that's not true anymore. Okay. So now that 3 damage kills me. Okay, that was a surprisingly intricate game. I had a lot of different ways I could have played that. Do I want a Noble Hierarch on the play? No, I think I'm good. I feel like I have a decent 1-drop density already. So this is a 1-lander. Am I good with that? I don't think I am. I need to deploy multiple cards, I think. Yeah, this is a much more balanced hand. I'll keep this and throw back one of the Steel Leaf champions, I think. And I'll just floop a snake into play. And call that a turn. Got turn 2 Strangleroot Geist, and then potentially leveling up this Hex Drinker beyond that. I think I want to keep this Path to Exile to potentially answer an opposing threat. I'm more scared of a Ragavan than a Dragon Rage Channeler. Alright. I don't really want to give my opponent this mana, but I also want my 2 damage. I also don't know for sure if they are actually playing basics. Their mana base is really greedy. They might have 1. Okay. Oh no, that's right. I saw those arts previously. Their mana base is still really greedy. I guess Ragavan helps to hold that together. Oh, my 5/4. Alright, so now I have to make the decision of whether or not I want to level up the Hex Drinker and play into Lightning Bolt. I don't think I do. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'll attack with both of these, and then I'll play a new Hex Drinker. The sooner I empty out my hand, the sooner I play around like lightning bolt effects or not, sorry, the sooner I play around discard effects. All right, opponent's at 11. I play out a new Hex Drinker, and I'll level that up next turn unless I draw something hot. Okay, I would rather try to level up Hex Drinker than play a naked 1/1 here. If it gets removed, it gets removed. But if it doesn't, this is real strong. All right, nice. Bash for 6. Opponent's at 5. That starts to be the scary range that my opponent might not be able to just like slam a Death Shadow and take over the game. Hot damn, we're on the board with monogreen Devotion. GG's. We're playing against another Lurrus deck this round. I only have 1 land. Again, I think I really need 2 lands with most opening hands. This is fine. I'm going to throw back 1 Aspect of Hydra and just keep my 3 land drops so that I can play like Alt Collector into something, into Troll. Okay, so we're probably playing against a Lurrus burn deck. That's fine. Feed me lands. Alright. Hex Drinker on top. That's totally reasonable. Do I play Pelt Collector or Hex Drinker? Hex Drinker can trade with Goblin Guide. I think potentially trading with Goblin Guide. Well, if I play Pelt Collector and my opponent doesn't answer it, I now have 2 things that trade with Goblin Guide. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'll definitely take 2 more damage in this turn cycle, but I'm slightly more likely to like gain that damage back in the long term. Okay, yeah, this is a great example of that. All right, couple Hex Drinkers on top. I'll take 4. And a Suspended Rift Bolt. Definitely scary. There's Hex Drinker. Will my opponent remove Pelt Collector? I could try to get cute with Aspect of Hydra, but I think I'm just going to do this and have 3 different things in the way of Goblin Guides and not attack this turn. Okay, it just goes to Dome. We're just going to commit to staring at each other for a little while. Holy shit. Alright, well, I drew 2 cards. Everyone dies. Just absolutely everyone in a fucking bloody massacre dies. And I'll play a giant fucking troll. And I will try to smash my opponent with it. This Aspect of Hydra is going to be worth a lot of damage, just by the way. Like, at minimum 4 as of right now. Oh, okay. Skullcrack me. I am not going to have a lot of time. Alright, that's a Lurrus to hand, which is admittedly quite annoying. I'm going to go ahead and start this turn by cycling this Horizon Canopy. Okay, great. We'll do this, evolve that, crash in for 4. Aspect of Hydra is worth 5 damage right now. If I play that here, it's pretty gross. I don't like this recurring Goblin Guide situation. Alright. So, Aspect of Hydra is worth 5 damage, so that is 9 damage from the troll. I'll assume Experiment 1 gets blocked. So my opponent's really at... let's assume my opponent is really at 13 life. So this gets blocked. This is 9 plus 4, 13. I have lethal if I don't block this. Okay, cool. Alright, so I will fetch. Yeah. Level. 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 Oh shit, this is protection from instants and sorceries. They can still block this. I mean, I guess it's happening. This leaves my opponent at 1, doesn't it? Fuck. Doesn't give trample. Alright. That's fine. I die some portion of the time here. So if my opponent has a 3 damage spell, I die. Otherwise I win. Yep, okay. That's fine. I don't imagine we have much to board here. Yeah. I can consider Path to Exile. I'm really hoping to just trade bodies with it most of the time, honestly, though. I'm gonna maybe cut 3 Noble Hierarchs for 3 paths. Like, Noble Hierarch is just slower than playing something that gets in the way of damage, and it doesn't technically do damage by itself. I guess I can make some changes and get Endurance in the deck. Endurance is roughly as good as some of this other stuff. And, like, hates on the graveyard for Lurrus-based reasons. I don't hate it. I don't have a turn 1 play. But other than that, this hand is pretty good. I think I'm just going to be fine with this. I would probably just mulligan this hand on the draw, though. Like, I just have Strangleroot Geist to trade with early creatures from my opponent. Alright, that's a troll on the top of the library. I'm going to play the Strangleroot Geist because that is going to be a decent blocker pretty much no matter what. Because my opponent can't just Lightning Bolt that out of the way. The Magma Spray type stuff isn't super common right now. Okay, cool. I am just going to play a 5-power Duder. Cost me some life. Am I good with attacking in? I think I'm good with attacking in because my opponent throws away a body if they attack. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have to get my damage in somewhere. Yeah, that is a suspended Rift Bolt from my opponent. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and play a new troll. I think that's worth the damage. This is worth 3, 6, 7, 8 damage right now. So this is a theoretical lethal attack. Get there. Okay, it's no longer a lethal attack. Do I still want to play Aspect of Hydra? 8 damage. I should probably just, do the thing. It's still worth that much next turn. I'm good with just calling that here. Like, that Rift Bolt is... Oh, wait. Maybe I should have just taken that damage because my opponent has a suspended Rift Bolt. And then they can't cast 2 different spells. Yeah, I think I was supposed to just cash in that damage rather than value my own life total because of my opponent's Eidolon. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely spooky now. Okay. Apologies if you can hear all that noise. I go to 3. And if my opponent has yet another one. Okay. Yeah, I should have taken the damage. I was trying to, like, play around a bunch of things going to my face, but I played around it better in a different way. An opponent hits me for exactly lethal. GG's. Alright, round 3 here. The opening hand really needs a second land. I'm gonna go ahead and ship this. I just think I need 2 mana sources in order to realistically curve out. I don't think this hand is fantastic. But I have such a high density of creatures. I don't remember exactly, but it was something like 30 some odd creatures. I think I can just keep this and then draw into another creature at some point. Okay. There's some plant life. So I'll just fetch this tapped. A new Noble Hierarch, and I'll crash in. We're really hoping to hit for more than 2 a turn, and the aspects of Hydras are just like +2/+2 spells right now. My hand can accelerate very quickly in terms of the amount of damage it's capable of. So, like, if I draw something that has, like, 3 green mana pips in it, for example, I will just absolutely go ham. Alright, what does this do? Investigates. Okay, so we're playing against an elemental deck. Sure. Alright, it is snake time. I'll go Hex Drinker, level, I think I'm supposed to just take the attack for 2 rather than level it up one more time. I can finish leveling next turn and attack with it. And then Aspect of Hydra. Alright, they are now officially in giant growth territory. Guess I might have something like Solitude to worry about here. Oh, okay. It was a living end situation instead, huh? Or no, it is Glimpse of Tomorrow. Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay. Not much I can do there. Okay. Spiking the Emrakul's rough. Alright, sure. Alright. So, I can attack with this Hex Drinker. Right? If my opponent doesn't block for some reason, I kill them. Wait, does it make more sense to attack with everything? Does attacking with everything work? No, if I attack with everything, I just get 8 damage, because I have 8. I have 4 devotion twice. 2, 4, 6, 7 permanents is an awkward number of permanents. Alright, I'm going to attack with the Hex Drinker. See if my opponent will block it. And I'm so close to just killing this Emrakul, aren't I? 6, 10, 14. Damn. Okay. So close. So close to beating Emrakul. And then I sacrifice 6 permanents and I die. Okay. I am not really gonna have much I can do here in terms of beating my opponent if they do their thing. I think I just sideboard nothing and hope that my opponent dies. I could play like a Collector Oof. It's just an alternative creature slot over like a random 3/3. Yeah, I think this is just a time where like I turn my card sideways and I see if my opponent dies. We were surprisingly close to just getting there anyway. I don't think this hand has enough gas. This hand has enough gas. Is that serum powder? That is serum powder. Troll. I think I junk troll. Then I have a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop curve, and I just hope it's good enough. Okay, opponent has Gemstone Cavern and Chancellor of the Forge. That makes my Hex Drinker so much worse. Okay. What do we got? Alright. This Wave Sifter is just generating permanents so that the Whoozy What's It can do its thing. I guess I can, like, not trade this Hex Drinker. I don't know. Let's see if my opponent blocks. I am unsure if they want that permanent. Okay, they do want the permanent more than anything else. I'm gonna just play the Werewolf Pack Leader. This is more mana efficient, but maybe, and it is a maybe less damage efficient in the long run. I might just straight up die this turn though. I don't have anything like a Chalice of the Void or anything to just like stop my opponent's nonsense. Yeah. We'll see how bad this is. I assume it's bad. Yeah, that's an Emrakul. Alright. GG's, we're not beating that. Alright, round 4. I'm gonna keep my opening hand here. I'm gonna lead on Noble Hierarch on turn 1. If my opponent has removal, it'll eat up their turn to remove this, and if they don't, I get to play Experiment 1 into Werewolf Pack Leader, followed by Steel Leaf Champion the following turn, and make my Experiment 1 into a pretty respectable threat. Okay, did not immediately get Lightning Bolted. And I potentially have another, like, good creature to play this turn. Alright. There's Experiment 1. I think I will just play the Hasty creature here. I will just get that damage in right now. With the presence of Noble Hierarch on the battlefield, like giving me 1 more exalted damage, I think it is just better to play that rather than Werewolf Pack Leader here. Opponent's going to go down to 17. Okay. So this is probably that, like, Persist Reanimator deck. I have a hell of a clock. Next turn I'm attacking for 5. And I'm attacking for 11. So a fetch land means my opponent is dead in 2 turns? I do not hate that at all. Oh, what is this? Beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 more life this turn, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Alright, maybe we're not playing against the Persist Reanimator deck. Okay. That's a combo land. Gain 2 life, you may discard 2 cards. If you do, draw 3 cards. This is a weird-ass Dredge impersonation. Grieving Chill, Ox of Agonas. Okay. Neat. I see. The life gain actually means that, yeah. There's some 3/1s, alright. That's super cool. Alright, so 4 mana to work with. Play this. This is worth the life to do. I play this. I think I just attack in with everything that can attack in. I don't think I need to be holding back here. My Steel Leaf Champion already, like, holds the ground versus one of these. I have a Hex Drinker that can get in through opposing blockers. This can get in through most things. This is likely to be a weird one, though. Okay. I just don't know entirely what to conflagrate. For 0? Are you fueling the graveyard for Ox specifically? Oh. Does that have different from graveyard text? Oh, okay, it does have different from graveyard text, I see. Alright, that was a little scary. So, I didn't expect Steel Leaf Champion to leave the battlefield, if I'm being honest. think I'm just going to go Hex Drinker and level it up fully. Well, not fully. Level it up so it's a 4/4, and then it eats one of these attacks. My Strangleroot Geist can eat another. I'll miss 1 point of damage, but I'll be more defensively oriented, and I'll do the Noble Hierarch thing instead. Opponent's down to 13. Probably going to be tight. I'm unsure if I am currently favored. Alright, there's a Narcomoeba. Just straight up the presence of a flyer is a little spooky. I am at a low life total, and I really don't think I have anything with reach in the whole deck. I'd have to like look for sure, but oh no, I do in the sideboard, not in game 1. Those endurances are gonna feel real good. Alright. It is the Ox. Okay, there's some dredges. A Dark Blast. Don't think that's super relevant. Although I do have the Strangleroot Geist right now. I guess I'm looking to just like rip a land, level up Hex Drinker, and then kill in 2 hits. 1 hit for 7 and 1 hit for 6 after Noble Hierarch gets Dark Blasted. Okay, I did draw the land. Hate that it's a pain land. Does this kill me? I go to 6. I will have 2 creatures held back. I can block this and this, leaving me taking 5 damage, so I will die to a Creeping Chill. Ugh. My other creatures can't, just physically cannot get in. Alright. About the only other thing I can do is, like, hope to make some sort of attack that allows me to win via top decking an Aspect of Hydra. But I don't know if that's the best. Dark Blast. Oh shit, the Dark Blast went to hand. I missed that going to hand. That's super inconvenient. Yeah, I guess I'm now playing towards drawing Aspect of Hydra next turn. Rough. It's what I'm doing. Wait, hold on. Fuck, protection from everything. I can't Aspect of Hydra this. Yeah. I think my opponent is just going to play the Ox, and I'm going to just die. Alright, there's the new Ox. Prized Amalgam is also getting involved. Okay, it's a Creeping Chill. That means I'm dead. That was wild. I would have gotten to look at 3 cards. None of that would have done it. So I 100% want 3 endurances. I'll probably play Path to Exile too. What do I think of Noble Hierarch? Noble Hierarch lets me ramp 2 endurance. Potentially fine. I really like things with 4 toughness here. I think I'm going to board out these Werewolf Pack Leaders and... Oh, actually, Vines is probably worse. Let's do something like this. Okay, so I don't have Graveyard Hate. I have a couple of creatures that grow. Is this fine? Hard to say. Like, turn 1 can be Noble Hierarch, turn 2 can be Pelt Collector and the Werewolf Pack Leader. That's a decent amount of power. I'll keep this. I don't think this hand is the best or anything, but I'm not really playing an interactive game. Like, I have, what, 3 copies of Endurance I can mold towards as interaction? I don't know that that's better than just keeping a relatively aggressive hand that has the ability to gain a Trampler to get those last couple of points of damage in. We'll see where it goes. Alright, do your thing. I don't mind my opponent having pain lands here. Okay, that is a prismatic ending. Alright, so neither one of these is going to grow from the other, right? Creature's power is greater. Yeah, okay, so these just aren't going to grow. I lose damage in this turn cycle by not just playing the werewolf, but I gain damage in the long run. Actually, no, that's not true, right? Because I just play the werewolf next turn, and I attack for 4 rather than attacking for 3. Yeah, so that's not actually true at all. Alright, a Golgari Thug has hit the graveyard. The dredging begins. Prized Amalgam in the graveyard, Dark Blast in the graveyard. So, there's a Werewolf Pack Leader. These getting out of range of Dark Blast before my opponent can do their thing is sick. Yield to these. There's my first 4 damage. So I'm going to attack for 4, and then I'm probably going to attack for 7 and draw a card off Werewolf Pack Leader. 7 is just a 2-turn clock, because my opponent has Mana Confluence and City of Brass, though. That's a thing. Dark Blast is a dredge 3. Okay. Build to that. So that was both of my opponent's mana. That's kind of rough for them, honestly. A lot of their really interesting plays, like the Ox, are 2 mana. Thrilling Discovery is also 2 mana. Yeah, I think there's a very real chance that I end up just bodying my opponent. Also, this grows to... Is this 4 mana to grow? Yeah. So I can even, like, push the pain a little bit harder if I draw dead. Right, that's a Dark Blast to Graveyard. Okay. I'm just going to thin my deck here. So this is worth 2 damage, and activating this is also worth 2 damage. So I'll just do the one that gives me permanent growth. This is 9 damage. If I draw an Aspect of Hydra off this trigger, my opponent is dead. Oh, rats. I also get punished for playing out my land drop. I didn't think about specifically drawing Lair of the Hydra. I don't think that matters. I don't think my opponent can put 4 blockers into play here and survive from 3 life. Yeah, sure. Arctic Reunion is fine. Yeah, 1 Narcomoeba is fine. I still have lethal. And there's the concession. Don't think I want anything else that's here. Let's just proceed. I am going to keep this hand. I think this one's borderline. Like, I think a hand like this is great on the play, but a little more sketchy on the draw, where my opponent will get the chance to do their 2 mana thing. Sure, that's fine. Oh, Noble Hierarch. I'm gonna go ahead and play that out. That'll be worth it. That still gives me Strangleroot Geist plus Pelt Collector next turn, but it'll just like add to my devotion count to actually make the Aspect of Hydra do stuff that matters. Okay, there's an Narcomoeba. Slight nuisance, but not that big of a deal. This Dark Blast? Dark Blast is annoying. Dark Blast means that I can't just easily play out the Pelt Collector. Alright. So the Dark Blast is currently in my opponent's hand. I don't super want to just like play out a Strangleroot Geist into that. I think I will just play a straight up 3/3 next turn and play Pelt Collector and Strangleroot Geist in the same turn cycle. There's a world where my opponent just plays the Dark Blast simply to dredge it. That's fine. I think if I make it 1 turn cycle without my opponent putting any bodies into play, I'm actually okay. I'm not gonna say great, but okay. Okay. A Dark Blast is still in hand, so the Pelt Collector is awkward again. Maybe my opponent will tap down a bunch. Okay, nice. There's a lot of potential for dredge shenanigans here. Yep, alright. So that's a second Dark Blast. There's a ghoul in there. I'll take 6 from these creeping chills. Okay. 1 from this Narcomoeba going to 10. This thing returns. So I pretty much need to fetch this. I need the mana. I play Pelt Collector. I play Strangleroot Geist. Yield to that. What is that? 20 fucking 6. Good God. There's some weird double Dark Blast lines here that can remove this as a blocker, but I'm going to make my opponent do those lines. I think I need to stay aggressive if I want a chance to close out this game via Aspect of Hydra. Okay. My opponent is offering me a trade. I guess I accept. My opponent probably brings this back, but I think I just need to keep my life total high-ish. Alright, there's some more self-damage. A Cathartic Reunion. There's another Narcomoeba. Oh, 2 Narcomoebas and a Prized Amalgam. Things are getting scary. Mostly because I can't block the flyers. Like, the Prized Amalgams are a pain in the ass, but I can block those. The Narcomoebas, I can't. I have just a couple of endurances in the whole deck. Yeah, so even if my opponent doesn't attack with the Prized Amalgams... yeah, I think I'm forced on the defensive here. I think unless I draw endurance specifically so that I can start blocking these Narcomoebas, I am just going to be deterministically dead before I can kill my opponent. See what my opponent does. I assume they're dredging. Oh, that is another Narcomoeba. And another Prized Amalgam. Yeah. Alright, I think with that 4th Nargamoeba in play, I just don't really have outs anymore. GG's. Alright, round 5. I don't have any 1 or 2 drop creatures here. I think this one just has to go back in terms of tempo. Whereas this hand is pretty good. Throw back 1 experiment 1, I suppose. Alternatively, I could just throw back the 3-drop and play just like I'll Collector into double experiment 1, and then like when I play the Werewolf Pack Leader things get weird. Doing it that way means that I don't have to actually hit another land drop. I am definitely horrified if we play against Burn and I'm on like double Horizon Canopy as a start. Oh, okay. I don't know that I wanted yet another 1-drop. This is a bit much. I wonder if my deck wants Ignoble Hierarch to just like double down on the Hierarch effects. I don't know. It's something that doesn't grow like the Experiment ones and Pellet Collectors, so the answer is probably not. Goblin Matron. You're just playing against... Is Muxus modern legal? Is that another Modern Horizons thing? I legit cannot keep track. I know Muxus is historic legal, but historic is a weird format where a bunch of stuff is randomly introduced, so IDK. Goblin Ringleader. Alright. I am going to assume that I am going to need multiple large creatures to deal with the stuff that my opponent is about to play. But being on double Horizon Canopy here is pretty rough. I'm not willing to attack Pelt Collector in. I am 100% growing it next turn. Pendelhaven as a 1-of in this deck would also probably be pretty good. Oh wait, hold on. This Yavimaya is fucking dope for me. This saves me so much life. Holy shit. Alright. Am I taking 2 or am I taking 3? 2. That's fine. Oh, my opponent have like Collected Company? Alright, there's a Strangleroot Geist. We'll play that over Werewolf Pack Leader because I can grow all the stuff again next turn. Always yield to these. It is Collected Company. Oh ho! I'm gonna not swing in with Strangleroot Geist. I want something that can block Warren Instigator. I'll crash in with the other stuff. Yeah, we can trade. That's fine. Alright, so there's the trade. I am currently probably faster at my opponent than reducing my opponent's life total to 0. But my opponent is probably going to have tools to interact, whereas I don't. Yeah, that's fine. I will just jump block. That just grows my creature, which actually grows the Pelt Collector and Experiment 1. Sick. And, like, Double Strike doesn't let my opponent get another hit in like that. Alright, there's a Matron. Goblin Smuggler, what the hell is that? Another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Huh. Huh. Yeah, that's just happening. So my opponent's Warren Instigator is going to get in next turn, and then everything's going to go to shit. Alright. I want to crash in for 9. My opponent might make some chumps here, or might like trade 2 Matrons for Strangleroot Geist. Nope. Opponent goes to 7. What is better for me? 2 chumpers or 1 Werewolf Pack Leader? Assuming I continue to play things, this adds 4 power to my attack next turn. So I'll play out 2 critters. I hope Muxus isn't modern legal right now. Like, there's a lot of other goblins that can be quite bad for me. But that would be about the worst. Okay. So now it transforms, or not transforms, it powers up. But I still can't block this, even though it has 3 power. Alright, this dumps 2 goblins into play. Fuck. Okay. Everything is large. My opponent draws some extra cards. There's a Sting Scourger, Trash Master, and a Matron. Okay. Oh, that makes this free. Ah. Neat. Yeah, this is way less scary than a Muxus. Yeah, so now the Goblin Anarchaeomancer reduces the cost of this thing by 1, meaning that it itself is free. Okay. I wonder if I can still steal a win with an Aspect of Hydra on some random unblocked creature. Probably my only way out. Yeah, because my opponent can block literally all of my creatures. I have nothing with Trample right now, so one of my creatures has to be unblocked. Draw a card. Let's see if it's Aspect of Hydra. It is not. Alright, so that'll be a concession here. What do we have for the old goblins? Not a lot. Can think about Path to Exile. Can think about Endurance just as something with a big butt. I don't really think I need Vines of Vastwood. That can go, and then it's just a question of, like, do I want Endurance over some other random thing that's in here? I'm not sure that I really do. Big butt is nice, but my creatures on average are going to be bigger anyway. Let's just play a couple answers to a Warren Instigator and call it good. Alright, this is a Hex Drinker hand. I don't think this is better than an average 6-card hand. This is probably a below average 6-card hand. That said, I don't know that I want to mulligan it, because I just have an Aspect of Hydra, which is +5 damage. And something that's probably unblockable most of the time. I'll just keep this and pitch a land. Not really where I want to be, but don't think I want to go any deeper just fishing for the perfect hand. You think they're going to name Merfolk? No, Goblin. Will be Ignoble Hierarch then. Fine. Oh, okay. This Aspect of Hydra all of a sudden is incredibly threatening. So I'm going to hit for 5. Then I'm going to hit for 7, and then I'm going to hit for lethal. And my opponent probably can't block what I've got going on. This is going to be Unsettled Mariner. And probably an attack for 1. Oh, no. What does this do? Whenever Legion Loyalist and at least 2 other creatures attack, creature you control gain first strike and trample until end of turn and can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. Sure. Alright. Trampler? I'm just going to play the thing with larger raw stats. I'll swing in with the Strangleroot Geist. If they block it, I don't care. I don't think they block it. If I draw a land, is my opponent dead? I'll have 8 Devotion. I'll deal 15 damage. Okay, so not dead, but real close. Okay, Goblin Anarchaeomancer. And my opponent passes the turn. Bash. Probably just bash. I'll just bash with both of these, and then I'll play another Steel Leaf Champion. And then have lethal the following turn. I don't expect to die from my opponent's current board. Stranger things have happened, though. Okay. Something is incoming. Alright. So Goblin Matron with 2 mana, which is really 3 mana. They could Sting Scourger one of my things out of play. Okay, it is Sting Scourger. So to do that, bounce a Steel Leaf Champion, and then I just have lethal with Aspect of Hydra. Okay, there's the Sting Scourger, bounce the Steel Leaf Champion. Potentially take some damage here. I'm thinking about whether or not they want to... Okay, there it is. That's fine. I'll go down to 11, and my opponent is very dead. Alright, play a card. Play a card. Guess it's probably better to just attack with this, huh? Then I get the Noble Hierarch trigger. Aspect of Hydra. So big. It's so big. We are going to have to do that again, unfortunately. Yeah, I think the plan is turn creature sideways and hope that it kills my opponent before they can get to the end game and start doing their thing. I will keep this opening hand. I have 2 lands, I have a Noble Hierarch so that I get that 3rd mana source. I have a few different ways that I can play out this hand. I'm probably always playing the Noble Hierarch out on turn 1. And turn 2 is probably Pelt Collector into Strangleroot Geist. We'll see though, like... This is a hand that has flexibility. Okay. Land Hierarch go. Opponent mulled to 5, by the way. So they're looking for some very specific things, it seems. Alright. They want Warren Instigator. So now that that's here, I would like to have at least a 2/2, if not a 3/3 available. I think that means grabbing a basic forest, playing out a Pelt Collector, and I honestly think I'm just going to play the 3/3 rather than the 2/1. Is that true? No, I'll have 2 different 2/2s. It's fine. I'll maximize my Pelt Collector size by playing this first. Can't really attack with the Strangleroot Geist into the double striker. I mean, like, I can in an attempt to just, like, grow this, but it's a little sketch. Alright, Goblin land. Okay, so my opponent just tapped mana for an Unsettled Mariner. Oh, they tried to do it with the Goblin land, I see. Yep. Fine. Oh, wow. Oh, they want to trade with my Pelt Collector? I mean, I'll absolutely make that trade. Yeah. You got a trick, but not expecting it. That doesn't feel good for my opponent. Okay. I think I'm just going to go wide here. I'm going to be a little lazy and just play everything out pre-combat so I can just like F6 and do my thing. But I should technically not do it this way. Alright, let's send in Strangleroot Geist for a couple points of damage here. And short of something crazy, like, I don't know, a Fury or something of that caliber, not expecting that my opponent can really get back into this. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh, a Goblin Chain Whirler. That is quite good. Oh. Oh. I'm gonna grow a snake. 2 and 3. Just send everything in. Aspect of Hydra would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can also just use the Aspect of Hydra defensively to like save this other Hex Drinker. Send this, send this, send this, send this. If my opponent double blocks the good Hex Drinker, I'll Aspect of Hydra. Just take that W. Take my card draw. Okay, opponent is just going for a double block here. Do I just trade? I'll just trade. That's fine with me. And then I can just work on making 2 borderline unkillable Hex Drinkers. Or am I just supposed to save my... Oh, man. I fucked up. I needed to pump a mana into this Hex Drinker. Yeah. A little awkward. Yeah, it's super awkward that I made that mistake. Alright, it's fine. I'm just going to save the other Hex Drinker and just kind of, like, play things a little conservatively. Alright, my Strangleroot Geist comes back. Bigger and angrier. Now if I top deck a land, this thing is just ultimate. Oh, yeah. Cool. Not punished for missing out on pumping this thing previously. Okay, so there's pumping that thing up to protection from everything. That just kills my opponent in 2 turns. Do not believe that they can kill me in 2 turns back. But I definitely made a misstep by not using my extra mana on that previous turn. I can't think of how my opponent could just, like, kill me from this position. I don't know, maybe there's some weird Warren Instigator plus haste shenanigans based line. I can't think of what it would be, though. Alright, and we end up with a 2-3 in the league. Overall thoughts on the deck list? It was hella fun. Like, this is very nostalgic. This is the sort of deck that you make when you're kind of a new Magic player, right? Like, this is the, like, I would like to make a keyword deck distilled into a realistic, like, budgetary modern deck. I enjoyed this a lot. Vines of the Vastwood didn't feel super good to me, and I just boarded it out every round. Maybe that should just be another critter of some kind. Maybe I'm undervaluing its protection aspect, but like I'm tapping out so frequently for creatures that I just don't have time to hold up Vines of the Vastwood. If there's another like Green Devotion payoff that's like similar to Aspect of Hydra in some way, that's what I want to add to the main deck. I wonder if there's a better manland option than Lair of the Hydra. I haven't given this any thought until right now. That's about the only thing that immediately comes to my mind. We didn't board in a bunch of the sideboard cards. Like, we basically boarded in Endurance and Path to Exile with the matchups that we saw, but if we ran into other things, I'm sure like we would have really appreciated having access to Collector Oof and whatnot. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm sure this league went very quickly. If you did enjoy, please throw me a like before you go. It's the easiest way to support my content for free, and if you have something else spicy you want to see on the channel, my donation information as well as this deck list are in the video description. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!